Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about election desperation from the press. The top four Twitter news stories right now are all anti-Trump propaganda pieces originating from the New York Times. They say that President Trump is broke, he's having a meltdown, and that voters believe winner of election should fill court seat. The New York Times likes to say scientists believe or experts believe, but now they have a new phrase, voters believe. The New York Times can't find a skeptical scientist, and apparently they can't find a Trump-supporting voter either. And there it is right there, a picture of Joe Biden, a picture of Donald Trump, with Biden leading 49% to 41%. It must be game over for Donald Trump and the Supreme Court. And here's the same New York Times story from 4 years ago, Tuesday, October 18th, 2016. Hillary Clinton has a 91% chance to win. There's a picture of Hillary and the same picture of Donald Trump. On the left is this year's New York Times story, and on the right is the one from 4 years ago. The New York Times must be saving money on their writers by recycling the same news stories every election cycle. The week before the election 4 years ago, the Telegraph reported Hillary Clinton so far ahead in polls that she doesn't even think about Donald Trump anymore. And since the election, Donald Trump has been the only thing she's been thinking about. I was in Australia during the election 4 years ago, and this was the actual cover of The Australian on November 9th, 2016. Clinton's late surge to the brink of history as angry Trump revs up supporters. This was the morning after the election. The press uses fake polls to try to push their political agenda and have been doing it for as long as I can remember. This was the Burlington Free Press from 40 years ago today. Poll, women give Reagan low backing. This was also the election in 1980 when the city of Burlington, Vermont elected a socialist mayor named Bernie Sanders. Now let's look at the press and Twitter claim that Donald Trump is broke. Donald Trump gives his entire salary back to the federal government. He's donated $1.6 million so far. A few weeks ago, the press didn't want him to get credit for this, so they were claiming that he's making lots of money off other investments. Trump still profits off property he owns, including the Trump International Hotel in Washington and Trump Tower in New York. He also earns money from the rights to a UK television spin-off of The Apprentice and various properties in the UAE, Indonesia, Scotland, and the Philippines. So imprecise claims that Trump works for no money are not totally accurate. So the press claims that Trump is broke, he doesn't pay any taxes, and even though he donated $1.6 million back to the government, he's making lots of money. And at the same time, the press ignores the fact that the Bidens, Clintons, and Obamas have never held a real job and yet have become magically extremely rich off of their civil servant salaries. It looks to me like the press and social media are getting pretty desperate about their senile child-groping candidate.
U.S. COVID infected U.S. COVID infected in America, 344,700. U.S. COVID deaths, 189,506.
So the press is telling us that Donald Trump is broke, he's making lots of money, and he's not as far behind in the polls as they claimed he was 4 years ago. But what's the real story which the New York Times is covering up today? The New York Times stole President Trump's tax returns and found nothing which they were looking for. They were looking for evidence of illegality or involvement with Russia, and they came up with nothing. And what is the story which the New York Times is covering up? It's that Joe Biden's son got $3.5 million from the Russians and was involved with sex trafficking. Toto understands that you can't get any accurate information from the mainstream media, which is why he does what he does. You can visit him and Curia on the web at realclimatescience.com.